Hey everybody, welcome to Save World Make Art. This is Mr. Matt Faulkner, who will be known today as Chef Faulkner. Chef Faulkner, what are we making today?
Well, first of all, who are you?
I'm Eugene. I am just that mild-mannered co-host that is here to witness greatness when it comes to making omelets. And we're not just making any old omelets, we're making the Matt Faulkner special, which is an egg white omelet. Matt, take it away.
First of all, I don't know how to make egg white omelets, so we're just going to make regular with the yellow part in it. Is that
See,
okay?
the brilliance of this man has just taken form right here on our Zoom.
Yeah, we'd have to waste this whole 12 eggs to just get enough egg whites. So we're just going to use the whole egg.
We're going whole hog, as they like to say. We'll get rid of the shells, though. We won't eat those.
We won't eat those.
But we've got some mushrooms right here, which we are going to go ahead and saute. So you can hear the sizzling because the pan is already hot.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to grab this wooden spoon here, Mr. Faulkner. And look at the man, look at how he just so elegantly adds the salt and pepper, which I've watched enough cooking shows to know that salt and pepper is a really great seasoning.
Okay, let me show you.
Check this out.
Yeah.
This is,
and then when you put that on there, you go, boom,
that's
baby.
garlic salt. So you ready?
Boom, baby.
Boom, baby. Boom, baby. I just learned that from Mr. Faulkner. That is not something that I've ordinarily done. So I'm glad to know that that's the secret. All right, what are we putting in besides this, Mr. Faulkner?
First of all, that was like 3 months worth of cooking school right there.
3 months worth of cooking school. He took 10 years of piano, but 3 months of cooking school. So I like that.
That's pretty good.
I didn't even know that about this man.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So Save World Make Art. Today we're cooking in the kitchen. We're here in Oxford at my home office. Matt is visiting in my kitchen here today. So who's in the kitchen with me? Mr. Faulkner right over there. And we, sometimes go out to breakfast, or we have in the past. And then I've been over to Matt's house and he's made me breakfast. And so I thought this time I would treat Matt and have everything prepared. And all he has to do is just throw some eggs in the pan, and teach me how to saute mushrooms, which I'm doing, I hope, pretty good. Now we do have some home fried potatoes right over here in this back that are already done. I cooked those up before Matt arrived. And there's some peppers and onions in with the potatoes. So today, Matt, we're going to be talking about my professor, my mentor, Russell Keeter. So we'll look at some of his art in a minute. But Matt, how do you feel about this? Do you think I should throw in the onions and
a little bit more.
All right.
Now we put oil into the veggies, butter into the egg.
So olive oil in with the veggies. You can see where the mushrooms are just starting to cook down. And these are fresh mushrooms. We love the fresh as opposed to the canned.
What are we doing here?
We're adding some milk to the eggs. Mr. Faulkner swears by that.
Yeah.
By the way, he's making 2 different omelets, one for each, but he's making them separate instead of together. Obviously, you make one at a time. And I've done the thing where I've actually made more than one omelet at the same time. I just use several pans. So that is one way that I've sort of combated the fact that you do have to make the omelets in their own pan per person. We've got plates here that we are going to put the omelets on and put in the oven to keep them warm as we're making the second one.
Also, we leave the bits of eggshell in there because it makes it crunchier.
Well, it does. If you like crunch, that's a good way to get it. How do you feel about the mushrooms? These look good. So what are we going to add?
You can dump everything.
These?
You have to leave those to add.
Okay. So we've got peppers, and do you like all these peppers, or do you want me to just do about half?
Just do all of them.
All of them. They're going to cook down. We have red and yellow bell peppers. Then, of course, we have a yellow onion. I chose yellow onion because I do like the sweetness of it. And, with the red onion, it's a little bit harsher. Where here, we can just kind of add the onion and make it savory, but savory in a way that complements the peppers. Now, we're using a we're using a garlic powder, and we're gonna say, bam! And I think that's what you said, right? Yeah. Boom, boom, baby. All right. So I'm gonna have to do that again. Let me just do a little bit more, and I'll say, boom, baby. And then I always do a little bit over my shoulder. You ever do the over your shoulder thing? All right, and we're adding some more. Oh, boom, baby. Do boom, baby. All right, here we go. Boom, baby, and a little bit over the shoulder. All right. Cool. So, Matt, we're gonna be talking about my mentor, Russell Keeter, for this particular episode. And I met Russell Keeter in 1983. I was a freshman at the College for Creative Studies. He started teaching there, to my understanding, in the mid-60s. And he was hand-selected by the current person who was overseeing the college at the time. So that would be probably the president. I don't know if they went by that title or not, but in any case, that person and someone who was their assistant went to Pennsylvania, to the Pennsylvania Academy of Art. Russell Keeter was a student, and he was preparing to graduate. And they looked at his work, and they talked to him, they interviewed him, and they basically on the spot gave him a position at CCS, which he held for over 25 years. His specialty was painting, drawing, and of course, anatomy. So those are the things that we will talk about as we look at some of his work. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can do the old sharing of the screen, because I would like to show a few images. Go ahead, Mr. Faulkner.
I just want to know, what was your first impression of Russell?
Oh my gosh.
The first time you're like, holy crap, this guy.
All right, before we share some images, my first impression of Russell Keeter was that because he had a background as a boxer, a prize fighter, he was definitely taller than me, and you know, that stature that you might picture someone who is a boxer having in terms of their physique. But then he had these wonderful eyebrows that were very bushy, had a big mustache, and his hair, full head of hair that was also sort of wavy and, you know, a little bit out of control, but in a good way. So that he just had that very strong personality. But what I like to say about Russ is that he never acted as though he was above anyone, even though his skills would say different. So I'm going to show you a picture of him, and then we'll take a look at some of his work. So this is a picture of Russ Keeter. So you can see in that photo right there what I'm talking about. You can see that the hair is a little bit wild. He has that look in his eyes that I am ready to make
that
art.
guy really looks like he would fill up a room.
Oh my gosh. So his personality was larger than life. And let's just say it was very likable. So people really enjoyed talking to him. And by the way, let me know if you want these to put down more, or is that good?
I'm gonna keep going. I'm almost ready. I'm good.
Man, Mr. Faulkner, I like seeing how you're doing that. Can we just I want to stop the share for a minute, because I want to, can you show us your fancy move there? Wow. You did take 3 months of cooking school.
Well,
all right.
With Donald Trump's cooking.
All right, so let's take a look at some of his work, because I think that that's, you know, what our program is all about, is to talk about an artist. And today we're cooking and talking about art. This is a Russ Keeter self-portrait, and the image that is above his image of himself is a figure that is holding their hands together, and it is reminiscent of what I call the Harmonica Man series. He played harmonica, and so this is the hands of someone who would be holding a harmonica.
Beautiful. Wow.
And the Harmonica Man image that he portrayed, you know, definitely because of the hat and the look, it looks like someone that might be from the Delta blues era. Mm-hmm. But you can see his colors are such. He has a rose in each corner, and then you can see that he really emphasizes brilliant colors. He called himself a colorist, and then he also likes light and shadow, and he really likes the chiaroscuro approach.
Yeah.
This is a piece right here. I'll just zoom in a little bit. There is a very sheer drapery with a landscape in the back, which is an imagined landscape. And then our inside a room are these figures that are sort of looking outside into this landscape. And he had a tendency to do these figures that some of them had no arms, because he taught a style of figure drawing where you would draw everything but the arms, because he felt that the connection of head to neck to torso was important, and that people bypassed it when they would get into the arms too soon. Now here's another landscape with a figure and drapery. So I'll just kind of zero in on the figure sitting with the drapery. So he spent some time at the Pennsylvania Academy, but prior to that, he was at the Ringling School of Art in Florida. So he got to work
a Dutch kind of look to
it. It really does. And he got to work from the circus performers as they would pose for the art students, because he was at the Ringling College and the circus was right there. So when he puts drapery in there, I always think of theatrical nature, like almost curtains of a stage. And in some of his pieces, he would actually create a stage in the middle of the piece.
Look at the light in the middle of that, reflecting off of the water in the background.
Yes, he really is into dramatic lighting and mood in his pieces.
That's crazy backlit. Wow.
Also, when I see drapery in a landscape like this, I think of an artist who was more of a sculptor named Christo. And he and his wife put on these giant pieces that took years to assemble, and then cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on, but they would literally wrap landscapes.
Right, like wrap a mountain or wrap a building.
So here's another one of it. So this is the type of landscapes that he was doing when I met him in 1983. And I helped him assemble several exhibitions of this type of work. And I remember him selling a lot of this work. But you can see how he really is emphasizing even more brilliant color in these pieces. And again, these are imagined landscapes. These are not from photographs. These are his ideal imagery of landscape that he would, produce from his imagination. And then there is a picture of myself in probably 1987, 88, when Russell and I started working together. I became his assistant, and we would do workshops at local art centers or colleges. And so these are some promotional photos that we took together in order to create like a poster to advertise. So you can see here he is standing with his long stick, and he is drawing his anatomy drawings just like he would do when I studied with him. So there you go.
And you use now does he draw with a piece of charcoal on the end of the stick?
Yes.
And you do that too.
And that's what I do. So the only reason why I actually worked that way is because I was forced to do it by my teacher.
What?
So I think that many times when we do certain things in our lives that, tend to be extraordinary or beneficial, a lot of times, oh, look at that. Let's bring that up to the camera so we can just see how perfect. That's a perfect omelet right there, folks. So it's already got the veggies in it, and he was able to do the
tomatoes.
Flippy. That's okay. We'll do tomatoes in the next one.
Yeah,
Or we can put them on top. We'll put them on top. We've got diced tomatoes, but we also have sliced tomatoes, because sometimes it's nice to just have a garnish of some sliced tomatoes. But you can see that Mr. Faulkner's adding the cheese on top, and that's personal preference. So some people like the cheese, some people don't. So maybe, you're trying to, maybe you prefer eggs, but not dairy, cutting down a little bit. We're not cutting down today. So we're going to be adding the dairy and so on and so forth. We also, to go along with our food, we have a nice loaf from a local bakery of the Italian bread. It is from the bakery known as the Milano Bakery, which I'm trying to see where it is out of. It's from downtown Detroit, Russell Street, which is the Eastern Market. So there you go. Well, I pull out all the stops for one, Mr. Falk. I went to Eastern Market. Why are you asking me these questions? You know that this is how we do it. So I'm going to be opening up the bread. You need me to handle any of this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna show these potatoes to viewers because we mixed up potatoes with peppers and onions, and I cooked them prior to Matt arriving. And I like to char the potatoes, as you can see, just a little bit. So I'm gonna show the audience how we let the potatoes on one side get a little bit more crispy and almost, some people would say, well, those look a little burnt. I say that they're cooked well in a iron skillet or cast iron skillet. And they taste perfect to me because there's nothing that is worse than having undercooked potatoes or potatoes that aren't crispy. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my personal feeling. I like to feel like I'm out on the prairie using my iron skillet, cooking over an open flame. So we're getting our fresh Italian bread going in the toaster. Mr. Faulkner, let's put that one right in the oven. Let's look at it though. Let's turn it around so everybody can see the finished product. Look at the steam coming off that. Ooh la la. And that is a healthy, hefty omelet right there. That is an omelet made by a master, and that is an omelet for one. That is not an omelet that you share.
Okay, hold on.
That will be for a different show.
Back it up a little bit.
Backing it up.
We go back to the picture of your teacher using the stick, and you said that your teacher made you use the stick.
Well,
how did that all work?
So what I want to explain to people is,
tell them about you use the stick too because it works for you. I mean,
right. So the reason why my teacher used the stick is because he studied from an anatomist in New York City who was named Robert Beverly Hale. So Hale was a student of George Bridgman, and he was a student along with Norman Rockwell, who was another famous artist, figure artist. And then from the Bridgman study, Rockwell went on to become who Rockwell became, famous Saturday Evening Post artist. But then Robert Beverly Hale became an instructor at the Art Students League of New York, where my professor spent some time studying from the great Robert Beverly Hale. So Robert Beverly Hale would do these lectures that are available now currently on YouTube. And he would draw with the long stick, and he would have this wall covered in paper, and he could stand there for a couple hours drawing all of these amazing detailed parts of the anatomy with explanation as he's going along. And so my teacher wanted to adopt that same approach in his teachings because he thought that Hale's teaching was very effective that way. So part of the reason that you use the long stick is so that you can draw from a distance, and then you're not standing in front of the drawing while the students are trying to draw along with you.
You were doing a close-up of this picture before.
Right. So here's the close-up of the stick and the charcoal on the end, and Russell drawing as he would when he was in our class.
Very cool.
And so you can see there's another drawing behind. There's a ball and box showing a light and shadow principle. There's a drawing of an ear and an eye right there. So you can see that there's a variety of, and then there's the skeleton in the background. So the variety of anatomy drawings is presented in this image right here to kind of just help everybody to get a visual as to what we're talking about. But yes, so what my teacher decided to do is he realized that drawing from the stick was not only an effective teaching method so that students could see his work while he's doing it without covering it up with his body. He could stand at a distance.
Right there.
But besides that, what he recognized is that drawing with the stick allows you, as a beginning artist, to stand back from your drawing and actually see the overall proportions perspective sooner than if you didn't draw from a stick.
Gives you an objectivity.
Right. So if you're standing several feet away from your easel and beginning your drawing, you might catch some of the proportional issues and perspective issues that you may not catch until later on, which then might be harder to change. So he really promoted the idea that, hey, let's catch things that need to be adjusted and changed. Let's catch it like right in the beginning within those first 5 minutes. Let's make those changes. And then that way, when you spend 20 minutes or an hour or 2 hours on a drawing, you're not going to stand back and wish that you had made the legs longer or wish that you had made the head smaller or whatever the issue is proportionally. Or sometimes, figures, maybe a model's standing like this, but their shoulders are going this way and their hips are going the other way, right? So it's a contrapposto, right? So you got the slant going this way, slant going like this, but maybe you drew them like this, even though this is what they were doing. So you catch that and you alter, and you shift and you adjust, just like we do with the toast when we freshly toast it with butter. Yes.
He looks like he could be a bit of I wouldn't say grouchy, but like he could come down on people.
His appearance appeared that way, but he was not that way. Now, I did have a sculpture teacher like that, which we can talk about at another time. But no, Russ Keeter was very personable. And the good thing was you didn't want to mistake his kindness and gentle manner for him not telling you like it was. So in other words,
kindness for weakness.
Right. So instead of saying things like this sucks or, making you feel less than because you need to make this change, he would say things like this. He would come up to your easel and he would say, I question whether this leg is too short.
Mm-hmm.
And so his wording was such that you didn't feel, but can you say that again, Mr. Faulkner?
Boom, baby.
Boom, baby. So you heard it here first from the man who really knows what he's doing in the kitchen. He knows his way around a kitchen. He's in my kitchen today, but he even knows his way around my kitchen. That's how cool it is. So just going back to Russ real quick, I really appreciated his candor.
A gentle giant.
Yeah, his approach. He was very poignant.
But he kept it real.
Yes. Like, for example, I did a self-portrait and I brought it to him. And one of the first things he said was, I can tell you don't know your ear. And he was talking about my ear in my drawing, which I had not spent a lot of time on because, quite frankly, I didn't think about it until he pointed that out. When he said, I can tell you don't know your ear, ooh, that just like got right to my heart. Not in a mean way, but in a matter of fact, like, hey, I better jump on that. And so to this day, I can give a whole lecture on the ear, like the drawing you saw in that photo. I will do that for my students, and I will tell them, this is the helix and the anti-helix and the tragus and the concha and the lobe and so on and so forth. And that way, the students actually learn and know their ear.
If you don't know, from my perspective, Eugene is one of the finest teachers of both anatomy and drawing that I know. So this all came to him through Russell. And it also talks about that kind of connectivity. Russell's teacher was in New York. I don't know, you may not know who that teacher's teacher was, but there's this connection going all the way back to who knows where, how far back it goes from teacher to teacher to teacher. So when you study with Eugene, you are getting that lineage, right? That's really, it's palpable. You see it when Eugene is teaching, you're getting that whole thing, that like I said, lineage, which is really cool.
Yeah, I connect it to what I've learned in the world of jazz because I enjoy listening to the jazz from Miles Davis era and even prior, but then of course from Miles Davis 50s into the 60s and 70s and to modern day present. But there is a lineage that is passed down so that pianists and other musicians that have studied with certain artists, you can hear their influence and then how they take that information and share it and make it their own. And then the people that study with them, it's the same thing. And we see that in the figurative arts. And so Matt is referring to the lineage. Really, I like to date back to Leonardo, Michelangelo, and then bring it to the present through the people that we just talked about.
Now you want your tomatoes in?
However you do it, Mr. Faulkner. I am just a catalyst today.
Yeah.
I am just here to be molded.
I'm giving you all
into how the master. Here's what I think we should do. I think we should cut that in half, and then we each have one with tomatoes in it, and one with tomatoes next. What do you think?
Down with that.
All right, so we're gonna split these in half. We're each gonna have half of one half of each omelet. That way we'll get, the best of all the worlds.
All right, you wanna do a garlic salt? boom,
Yeah,
baby?
garlic salt, boom, baby. Here we go. You can see that I'm now putting this to good use. Boom, baby, over the shoulder.
Yeah.
You want some salt?
That second part is, that's French.
Do you want any of this stuff in there too, or no?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right, and a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
I do want to tell those of you at home, we don't just use any old salt. This is a Himalayan salt.
What color is it?
Himalayan salt. So it's not your typical bleached white salt, but it's almost like a little bit of a touch of a pink.
Yes,
You say? A little bit of a pink. Yes.
pink baby.
Pink, baby.
Awesome.
All right, so we've got, the spices going in, get the cheese in there. This is really like a whole operation, as you may think. And, when we talk about the human figure and we're drawing, I'm always working from the skeleton to the surface. So if we're saying, cooking and the interior of an omelet leading to folding it over and that exterior, that's all right. That's all right. There are different ways to approach the omelet, but there is a similarity to how we would look at that. So it's a little bit more well done, I would say, on this particular side, but some people prefer it that way. They want it so well done. And so we're going to have a chance to make comparisons between this omelet and the second omelet. And the reason why that would happen compared to the first one is your pan is a lot hotter. So we've had the pan on a little bit.
Let's talk about also the prep for tea.
Oh my gosh.
You've got, if the tea's got to be how hot?
The tea has to be piping hot. Like literally, if we can get that to the point where it's going to screech and holler, as a
So
kettle.
if somebody were to take the pot off halfway through,
No,
hot enough.
no, it's not hot enough.
It's
If you see steam coming out, that is not proper.
You don't want to make it scream. That's not nice. No,
You got to make it scream.
Yeah,
And we're
make it
using
scream.
Earl Grey
Earl Grey.
tea.
That's
So
right.
Earl Grey is a tea that is a blend of black tea. And then it also says bergamot oil. Did you know about that? Bergamot oil. So, it's your preference. There are a lot of black teas available.
Sometimes they put like orange rind into it.
Sometimes they do. It's a blend of different things. So I'm going to put some toast on this plate right here. And why don't we get out the other one? Oh, here you go. Let's get you. I want you to burn your hand. Here you go. All right. And why don't you put it up here on the stove top? And then we'll go ahead and look at that. I can't handle that, but that looks mighty fine. Whoa. So why don't you do a little cut through and then use your flipper, and we'll go ahead and do the exchange. If you need an extra plate, I'm about to put one of the halves until we, place to put it. Maybe put that one here for the time being. There we go. We'll do the switcheroo, and that way now we're each going to have one half of each omelet. Now I'll go ahead and just plop that one right there, baby, and then we'll throw the other toast right there. We do have some fruit over here, which we can add if people like that. Some people just want the omelet with the toast, and that's fine too. So we're going to meet you over at the dinner table. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Mr. Faulkner is here. We're just sitting down to our meal that we prepared together.
Yes, we did.
And I'm going to turn the oven off. So, Matt, talk to these nice people.
So one of the things I just want to acknowledge is that when I got here today, all of this stuff was already prepped. So when you're going to make breakfast, you always want to hang around with Eugene because he does it to the nth degree. And he makes you feel like, like you are the guy, right? When you show up, it's like, ta-da, you're here. So definitely see if you can get yourself invited over to Eugene's because it is a glorious experience.
Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to take a bite of I'm going to call it the omelet that is a little bit more well done, and it's one with tomatoes in it. So we're going to try that one.
Me too.
Exceptional. I'm going to dig in to the one, and by the way, we put cheese inside, where this one the cheese is out.
Right.
So this one is a little bit less
crispy on the outside.
Right.
That's a good way to put it. But I'm gonna give a the peppers, mushrooms, that area
Yeah,
cooked to perfection.
it's good. It's good.
So I would say that this is definitely almost lost my toast there. Now we'll give the potatoes a little bit of a love it.
Splendid.
I cooked the yellow potatoes as opposed to the red skins because I personally think that they just cook a little bit quicker and they get a little bit softer. So, and I buy the small ones as opposed to the bigger ones so that they're just cut them in 4 and we'll throw them in. And so we do the American fries, as they call them, or American potatoes because they're really chunky.
Did you put onions in with these?
And I threw onions and peppers in there because hanging out with this man, one thing you learn about Mr. Faulkner, I'm saying this based on my experience with you. I'm going to say that this holds true for Matt. You can never have enough peppers in it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. I dropped the mic. I'm not going to drop the fork. I'm going to drop it all over. But
I mean, if there's veggies out there, you might as well eat them.
might as well eat them. You know, folks.
Yeah.
I've known enough people that didn't feel that way. And by the way, I've got my Grand Valley Dad mug, which I'm still sporting since I dropped my son off.
So with
At Grand Valley.
Why are you a Grand
So
Valley?
Well, I just dropped my son, Xavier, off at college a few weeks ago.
Well, let's say hello to Xavier. Congratulations, big guy, and congratulations, Eugene.
You have a mug created by my former student Centurion Frost, who is a ceramicist and illustrator.
Gorgeous.
It's an amazing mug. So let's take a sip.
Yeah.
I've got coffee. You've got the Earl Grey.
Also, you did it. You've gotten a child through to 18 into college.
Yeah.
Way to go. You did the thing.
He's my eldest, my first, and he is there. He's not called sobbing in tears or asking for money.
Yeah.
So I call it
both of those.
That's a win.
Wow.
We saw him over the weekend after not seeing him for several weeks, and he seemed in good spirits. We fed him. We saw a football game. We stayed overnight at a hotel so that he could have.
And
you know,
he didn't like leave you.
he didn't leave us for his friends.
Yeah.
He actually hung out. We sent him home with a hefty container of animal crackers, animal cookies, whatever you want to call them, from Trader Joe's.
Those are right up there with vegetables.
And he did not say no
with
to
animal
that.
crackers and
So yeah, so that was good. And he requested a pair of tennis shoes that he left here that he needed for school. So
you brought him with you.
So we brought him with, gave those to him,
Beautiful.
and there you go. So we're gonna say goodbye to you guys because this is a long enough podcast talking about Russell Keeter, how to make omelets, good food. We're gonna sit here and finish this off camera, but we want to thank everybody. Any last comments?
Boom, baby. Cha cha cha.
Thanks, everyone. I'm gonna get up and turn this thing off, and we want to say keep making art and saving the world.
Peace
and we'll
out,
see you
baby.
guys next time.